Today's lesson is all about the elements of art. The elements are the building blocks or parts of any composition. They are line, shape, form, color, value, space, and texture. These pieces work together to create a strong and unified composition. If elements are overlooked, your composition will most likely to be weak, boring, and unattractive. So what is colors? It is the visible range of reflected light, and color has three properties which are the hue, value, and intensity or the brightness or dullness. Properties of colors has the hue, value, which consists of the tint, shade, tone, and the last one is the intensity. Hue is the pure form of color that has not mixed with black or white. It is the another name of color. Hue represents a specific wavelength of color. A hue is a color that is in the color spectrum, and the example of the hue are the basic colors like red, blue, green, yellow, orange, and violet. We can find these colors in the outermost ring of a color wheel. The next one is the value. Value is the lightness or darkness of color. It reflected to black and white. We can change the value of a color by adding black or white to it. Value refers to lightness or darkness of colors, such as the tint, shade, and tone. The tint is a mixture of hue with white, while the shade is a mixture of hue with black, and the tone is a mixture of hue with gray. White, black, and gray are referred to as values without hue or intensity. Tint is made by adding white to pure or original color. By adding white, the color becomes lighter than the original color. A tint is lighter and has higher reflected value than original color. For example, we can make red lighter by mixing with various traces of white. To remember shade easily, you can start with the hue. So say for example, red is shown and slowly lightened by adding small amounts of white. Shade. Shade is made by adding black to pure or original color. By adding black, the color becomes darker than the original color. A shade is darker and has lower reflected value than original color. For example, we can make red darker by mixing with various traces or black. To remember shade easily, you can start with the hue. So say for example, red as shown and slowly darken by adding small amounts of black. Next is the tone. Tone is made by adding gray to a pure color or original color. By adding gray, the color becomes softer than the original color, and tone can be lighter or darker. The third property of color is the intensity or the saturation. Intensity adds interest to the properties of color. Intensity refers to brightness or darkness of color. Brightness is the degree to which a color appears to be radiating light. Adding white, black, or gray will alter the intensity and value of it. Mixing the hue with complementary colors changes the intensity. The highest intensity is the hue as it appears in the color wheel. You can make colors less intense or duller by mixing them with gray. Creates an illusion of depth. Less intense colors are the example of blue, and the more intense colors is the example of yellow, red, and orange. When we can change a color's saturation or intensity by adding gray to it. When we reduce the color saturation, we create a tone. Another way to reduce a color saturation is by adding its complementary color, the color that is opposite on the color wheel, and this creates a neutral or muted color. And that's how it goes the discussion of the elements of arts, the properties of the colors.